All right, Deric.
Yes.
Deric, oh, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I was born in Des Moines, Iowa. I lived in Illinois, in the Peoria area and southern Chicago type metropolitan area until I was 13. And I moved to North Carolina after that. So I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And then I moved to Kentucky in 2006.
What was your childhood like?
Rough. Very rough.
You had mom and dad?
Huh?
You had mom and dad?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had mom and dad, but I didn't have mom and dad. You know what I mean? My mom, I love her to death. She is 100% turned her life around, but like, you know, lots of bikers, you know what I mean? Lots of parties and things like that. Lots of violence. She, it's hard for me. She, got beat a lot. And there was this dude named Steve, and like I left the house while I lived with her, and Steve beat her ass like a couple times, and they came down to where I was staying at the neighbor's house. Justin is his name, and they're like, Steve's beating your mom again, and I just thought it was any other sort of beating, obviously, which is not excusable. So I went up there. I'm a card-carrying gang member. I flag for it in my FBI file. I'm a Folk Nation Gangs disciple. And I could smell the blood before I even touched the door. There was blood all over the walls. It was on the phone. The mantel was broken out of the fireplace. He was choking her over the tub. I hit him in the head with a pool cue. He's an ex-Marine and ex-cop. And I was 14 or 15 at the time. And he put me against the wall by my throat. And he's like, choking me. He said, stab me. His name's Steve. He said, stab me, stab me, stab me. I pulled out my knife and I stabbed his ass. And then I called Willie, the City General from Peoria. And I had his ass ran out by the GDs. And I ain't seen him since. And then my mom and her new boyfriend moved to Kentucky, and I moved back to North Carolina with my dad. My dad put his hands on me a lot. That's why I left to begin with. And he put his hands on me one too many times. And my best friend, like my sister, Lauren Barbie, she came to my house when I called her, and I left. And I was 15 years old.
You've been on your own since 15?
Pretty much, man. You know, I want to go back to high school. Like, I didn't want to get my GED or nothing like that. Like, I put in all that time, you know, in high school. And I graduated when I was 20 in 2007. My mom was my biggest applause. My dad did not show up. But my mom, my brother, my grandma, God rest her soul, we buried her, I think, a year and a half ago. Just, they was my biggest supporters. You know, I walked that stage at 20 years old and got my diploma. Earned that shit. And unapologetically earned that shit. You know, I grew up rough, man. I ran with gangs and shit. But, you know, I put that aside. I put all the violence aside. And I went and got my fucking diploma. Because I want to break generational curses and make sure that my daughter, who is 7 now, has something to look forward to. But I didn't know my daughter was on the way then. But whatever kid I had, I want to make sure that I wasn't going to be the same.
And then what did you do with your life after that?
I went to Strayer University for cybersecurity and homeland security and a focus in data forensics and homeland security technology. Then after that, I went on to work trades. Worked on cars, managed several car lots, Chrysler Nicholasville, which is now Big M, in Lexington, Kentucky. Worked in the automotive industry for almost 15 years in sales and or management. And then also worked on cars. And then I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I branded businesses and built websites. And once I went to school for that, I did penetration testing for ViView Inc., which is owned by James McGibney. You might recognize that name from the Netflix docuseries, which is The Most Hated Man on the Internet, where we brought down Hunter Moore, which was the revenge-porn king at the time. Like, he would post pictures of naked women on his website and just basically dox them and post their information. And he went to prison, and I put him there. Statute of limitations has expired. I can talk all about that. But that's on Netflix right now. It's called The Most Hated Man on the Internet. It will have Charlotte Laws in it, who had a daughter that was targeted by Hunter Moore, and it will have James McGibney, who is my former boss. I did penetration testing for him as far as like cybersecurity goes, and he runs an anti-bullying website called Bullyville. And Hunter Moore, he would take these women that he would meet on Craigslist and this, that, the other, and he would post their personal information, their addresses, on his website. And he was like, if somebody gets stalked or killed, I'll make millions. He was depending on what is called Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So like, if I hosted a website and I allow uploads, and let's say you uploaded something, I'm not held responsible for that. You are. And so he fabricated everything, the uploads and this, that, the other, because he was acting like this on Craigslist. And, excuse me. And so when he was acting like this on Craigslist, he was basically committing fraud and sex trafficking at the same time, and just all kinds of charges he went to prison for. He couldn't even have the internet, I think, for like 4 or 5 years. But he's a real piece of shit. And he deserved life, to be honest with you.
I used to do Google searches for my own name, and I was always really disturbed what I'd find. Seeing my personal information out there for anyone to grab, it's just uncomfortable. That's why I've started using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura not only shows me which data brokers are peddling my info, but also takes action by sending opt-out requests on my behalf. Data brokers are making a fortune by selling our personal information to anyone willing to pay for it. It's not just harmless information and marketing stuff. They're selling everything from your email, home address, to your health records, even details about your relatives. Cleaning up my digital footprint isn't just avoiding scam emails. It's about protecting myself from potential hackers who could exploit that information and wreak havoc on my life. From antivirus protection to VPN and password management, Aura's got it all covered. It's like having a digital security guard on duty 24/7. I'm too busy to deal with this stuff, but with Aura, I can go about my day knowing that my privacy is being safeguarded, leaving me free to focus on what really matters. So if you value your privacy as much as I do, go to aura.com/soft white underbelly to start your 14-day free trial. The link is in the video description box below. And now back to the video. So the things you were doing on the internet.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because that sounds interesting.
Okay. I'll give you an exclusive. I've never talked about it, not in any media. I could tell you about Stubenville. That's all in the media. I'll give you an exclusive right now.
That was a big story in the news.
Yeah.
When it happened, right?
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Arab Spring?
I'm not.
Okay. So Gaddafi, he cut off internet for Egypt. And he was running tanks through the streets and everything. It was before like live streams were a thing, but we had this platform called Ustream. Yeah. And so like I heard the screams of the women and children. I watched them get mowed down in the streets, heard their bones crunch, heard them die. And he cut off the internet to the whole nation. And I sent how to dial up through Tor, which is a VPN network, internet browser network. And you can tap in and we just chain our computers together and make a dial-up network so you can access the internet, right? And how to make gas masks out of 2-liter bottles. And I won't say who it is, but I know somebody who knows somebody. And an AC-130 dropped that flyer all over Egypt. And we gave them their internet back because he cut it off. And he was just slaughtering protesters in the streets. Like he was Castro on top of tanks type shit. And I was not okay with that. You know, one less dictator is a good dictator dead. So I said, kill him. And we gave Egypt their internet back. And I directed them to where he was at. And they hung him in the street. And they took their nation back.
This was what year?
Well, AC 130 dropped all those flyers. And this was in 2012.
This was after Stubenville?
Before. Yeah.
And tell me about the Stubenville story.
So I had a snowball effect off of the shit I was doing. And somebody approached me and was like, look into this. So I did. And a young lady was unconscious and was sexually assaulted multiple times by football players in Stubenville, Ohio.
This is the high school?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there 3 times. And each time I'm ready for war. I put my hands on them today if I saw them. School officials and everything. Superintendent, if you're watching this, these hands are for you. I've been in prison. My inmate number is tattooed on the back of my neck. I don't want to go back.
And the school kind of protected the athletes?
Yes. And all of them got indicted on the cover-up. The judge that sentenced me said there was no cover-up. The prosecuting attorney said there was no cover-up. Well, okay, then how did McCafferty get indicted? How did the school IT director get indicted and his daughter? How did the coach get indicted for providing alcohol to the minors at the parties? And how did they all go to jail or resign? You know, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. But they all did. They all did time or got, suspension or whatever. But Trent Mays and Malik Richmond, the
athletes,
they got charged as sex offenders, and that's literally my only crime. I hacked a football fan website. It wasn't even connected to the school. Now, did the FBI ask me if I hacked it? Yes. Did I lie? Absolutely. Is that a crime? I didn't know it, but yeah. After the fact, I pled guilty to it. But I did longer than the rapist in prison. I did longer than a rapist in prison. That's so wild to me, man. Like, I was in jail for a $12 fucking website that was down for 2 days that he regained control of. This fan is not connected to the school in any way. It's not a state website. It's a personal website. Hosted on HostGator. That's what it's called, HostGator.
But your website disclosed what?
I hacked the website, and then I took all the files, all the emails, all the tweets, everything, and I put them in a zip file right on the main page with a warning that you need to apologize to her. And then I organized what is called Occupy Stubenville. And there was probably 5,000 people that came to that small town from all over the world on multiple occasions. I mean, you could not even breathe in that town. Like, you got the river here, and then you got the town. And they just packed it out. Like, it was way more than any Occupy movement in the nation. I did not expect that. I'm grateful for it.
How much time did you get there for that?
I went back on a 6-month violation, but I got 2 years, the top of my guideline range, for a very specific reason. The judge that sentenced me said, I'm going to sentence you to the maximum of your guideline range, and you cannot appeal the maximum of your guideline range because that's not an abuse of discretion. He sits on the sentencing committee, and he said, I want to set an example to deter people who follow you, this, that, the other. Anonymous has no roster. We're not a group. It's an idea. I was just one of the most well-known ones. So I got the book thrown at me. And
explain who Anonymous is so that
ain't that the question?
So the viewers that don't know could understand a little bit.
Ain't that the question? Anonymous is your mom, your dad, your janitor, your trash person, your babysitter, your daycare provider. It's the girl down the street to the 15-year-old boy called Cosmo, the guy from fucking, Australia, when we had Westboro Baptist Church. It's everybody and nobody at the same time. There is no pinning down anonymous. Like, I got the tattoo right here. Like, you can do what you want. You can sentence anybody to as long as you want. And my message to every sentencing judge, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody. Nobody put money on my books. Nobody cares. The idea lives on. Transparency. Government accountability. Nobody gives a shit that I went to prison. I don't give a shit that I went to prison. If I did it for the greater good, I want to hack the system. I'm in school to be an attorney. Okay? The best way to hack the system is to get inside of it. Sean Hopwood, bank robber, shoveled shit, got tired of shoveling shit, robbed a bank.
So you're what they would call a white hat hacker.
Something like that, justice ops. When he robbed that bank, he got out after his time and worked at a mom and pop law shop. And they discovered his memory was much like mine, which is photographic. And they gave him a paralegal job. Now he teaches law at Georgetown University, which is an Ivy League university, as a bank robber, convicted felon, and as an appellate lawyer. Right. Y'all fucked up. You didn't expect us at all.
And what have you done since then? You did your time.
Yeah. I worked in a law office for 6 years with the ankle bracelet on and everything, man. The reentry center could not believe it. They had to like show up. They're like, everybody just works at the factories. Do I look like I'm built for factory work? No. So I said, what else do you got around here? We got banks and we got law offices. Well, that's kind of my prison side hustle. I've won multiple appeals for people. So I went in with my little handwritten list I brought from prison and I put it on the counter. They hired me on the spot, would not let me leave. And so I worked there and I help people for a living. That's what I do. I help people. And I've not lost a case in 6 years. Not one. Not one case. I worked for Stella House Attorney at Law in Manchester, Kentucky for 6 years. And now I own my own business as a paralegal agency with attorneys on staff. And we just freelance all over the United States. I've never lost a case. Not one time. I don't put my name on anything that I know is not set in stone.
But you're not an actual lawyer yet.
Not yet. I got 2 more years.
You're a vigilante.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there an adrenaline you get from all of this?
Yeah. You know, like I said, I got a little girl and I want her to inherit a world that's better than what I inherited. And the only way to change that is to get off your ass and change it. You know what I mean? You got to. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else cares. They care about their immediate surroundings. They don't care about this down the street that she might encounter. So, you know, my vigilantism, if you will, lives on in that. Just making it a good place, one case at a time, so to speak. I've helped hundreds, if not thousands of kids get out of situations by the pleadings I've typed. I've helped people get out of drug charges and get into rehab and change their lives, and then send them on to my credit repair company and then make them buy a house and change their lives around there and like break their generational curse and their addiction. I'm just trying to build back, you know what I mean? Like really take the block back, so to speak, and give ownership to the people and not this predatory capitalism that exists where you just work your ass off and get nothing, and then you're so depressed, or you hurt yourself and you get addicted to the painkillers, this, that, the other. I've never done drugs in my life, not one drug, not one. And I'm trying to help these people just really set down roots and realize that without us, the employees, there is no employer. You're the power. Without us, the voter, there is no government. They work for us, not the other way around.
So what's next for you? Becoming a lawyer?
Yeah, becoming a lawyer. Other than that, I don't know. I just embrace the shit show every day, whatever I wake up to. Like, I just woke up to a message the other day. I got a friend hit with trafficking. He wasn't trafficking. But, you know, I take it day by day. What's next for me? Just depends on the phone calls I get.
You like helping the underdog.
I like helping everybody. All of my businesses are centered around helping people. Credit repair, music distribution and branding, launching businesses, paralegals, lawyers, everything helps people. Nothing takes from them at all.
How old are you?
37 in May. So, yeah, I'm 36 right now. But
do you have any regrets in your life?
A lot of them.
What are your biggest regrets?
Not being so close to my brother. Not being such a good husband to my ex-wife. Not being... I embraced the violence in my childhood. I embraced it and I ran with it. Not being a good kid to my parents. I have a lot of regrets. But I try to make up with that in providing a better life for my daughter.
The emotions that come out of having regrets, if channeled correctly, are terribly powerful.
Yeah.
You can accomplish a lot with that behind you, if it's channeled well.
I'd do anything to change everything that has ever happened in my life. I've done a lot of bad things to a lot of people. They deserved it. I've never done a bad thing to a person that did not deserve it. You know, your other interviewee, El Gordo, same type of shit. It's not me anymore. It's not. But if somebody hurts my daughter, it will be. And I will sleep peacefully. And if you don't recognize this 1,000-yard stare from him, I'm already there.
How do you feel about our society today? Are things getting worse? Things getting better?
People are so caught up arguing with each other all the time, without realizing we want the same basic shit together. We want to be able to feed our kids. We want a livable wage. We want to afford housing, healthcare. Don't matter if you wear a red hat and worship Trump. It don't matter if you fuck with Biden. It don't matter anything. Like, we just want the same basic 3 things. Affordable housing, feed our kids, healthcare. And I'm as guilty as the rest of them about arguing and making a political point. But really, when you dial it back, that's basically it. It's us versus them. When the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. It's incredulous to me. Like, you know, I did the DNA test from Ancestry, and I'm related to Ulysses S. Grant, Emma Willard, who pioneered school for women, and Thomas Jefferson. And my family would be turning over in their motherfucking graves right now if they saw the State of the Union today. because this predatory pyramid scheme capitalism is not what they imagine for our country at all.
You're living here right in the middle of Trump country.
Yeah. Yeah. The town that I own a house in has a median income per person of $14,000. $14,000 fucking dollars. You know what my income is per month? 12. Average. And if you live where I live, next to the judges and attorneys, you made it. And you know what I do with that money? I spend it in the community. I'm wearing jeans right now. I bought like 4 years ago. I don't buy myself a thing, not a fucking thing. I bought this watch in 2020. I don't buy myself anything. I just spend the money back where I make it. I don't need it.
Deric, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. You know, I have a very close relationship with God that doesn't involve church. And a lot of people have wronged me and taken advantage of me and my kindness. And I believe in the instant retribution aspect of the Bible. And what I mean by that is that I believe that I'm no better than Jesus. And Jesus chased people out of the temple with whips, put hands on them, flipped over tables and everything for disrespecting him and the Father. If you disrespect me, who am I to be better than Jesus? I'm not. I'll forgive you, but that don't mean I forget. That's the most important lesson I've learned. Hold people accountable. Don't forget. Hold them accountable at all times. Forgive them, but do not forget. Because if you forget, they'll do it again.
All right. Deric, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
I wish you all the luck in the world from here on out.
I could use it.
All right. Thank you.